good morning, and welcome. My name is Elana, and we are here with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, #1 internet talk show. Today, we are here with the wonderful Janice Wood, and our show is accepting and asking for help after injury and a surgery. Welcome, Janice. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes, and I'm also part of the WGSN-DB family, and my show is the Senior Citizens Forum, but I also am part of Benefits for You Too Insurance Services, where we specialize in Medicare supplemental insurance, Medicare Advantage plans, and prescription drug plans. And I've been doing that for over 15 years.
And so if you need any of that, this is the woman to be. So where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at online, okay? They can find me on YouTube. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Google and Roku, because we're on the same stations that Elana is. And you definitely will find me if you Google me. I will come up. So I am Janice Wood, and we are at Benefits for You Too, and I'm excited to be working with you again and doing a show with you again.
Me too. And you know what? We could just talk for hours. So we're gonna, give you some fun facts, talk about some great things, and let's get this party started.
Yeah. Okay. But I just had a really good time talking with Elana a while back.
Yeah.
She called me up because this last summer I had knee replacement surgery, and then I found out that she injured herself. And we were talking about our life changing, okay? And what was happening in our lives because of having surgery and her having an injury. And your life does change.
Right. And just, what we take for granted is those little easy things, from even walking to the kitchen or picking up something or even sleeping with your cover hitting your injury. It's like the whole world's ending.
Well, for me, it was like, you mean I got to get up and go to the bathroom? Really?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like something so simple like that.
Can I wait 15 more minutes so I don't have to go again later?
Yeah, how long can my bladder?
Yeah, how long can you hold it? Okay. I mean, and my attitude was like, I'm going to have surgery, and I'm going to come home, and I'm going to be just like I was before I went in. Wrong. Wrong. And all of a sudden, I've had a lifestyle change.
And so with that, and having a lifestyle change of something that you didn't think unexpectedly, how is that making you feel right now with it all? You're normally used to exercising. You're normally used to go. How is this making you feel, having to kind of stop, slow down, and view things a little differently?
Well, at first, because I was in so much pain, I had no choice. Okay? I absolutely had no choice because there was no way. But I was very fortunate because my husband and Lauren, who works for me, who's also been on our show in previous shows.
Fabulous. Give a shout out to Lauren.
Right, for Lauren. Between the two of them, I was weighted on hand and feet. I mean, you need your pillow this way, you need it this way. All of a sudden, the food would show up. All of a sudden, my medicine showed up. All of a sudden, everything was taken care of. The only thing they couldn't do for me was go to the bathroom, which was a major thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And having that support, I think a good thing to share and say is like having that circle, having that community to do, because a lot of times people don't have that, and the recovery could be different if you don't have that strong support system.
Community, right? And my sister-in-law, who lives in an area where she's all by herself. Okay, there's no one. She had 2 knee replacements. I remember Yeah, but not at the same time. Okay. But I remember calling her up and saying, "You are now my hero. How did you do this
Yes.
without any support?" Well, somebody had to go grocery shopping
Right.
for her. There had to be some friends that helped her out.
Yes.
Because her children didn't live in the same state even, okay? So it was like, how did she do this, okay? Somebody had to help her cook.
Yeah.
I told her, "You are my hero." Okay?
She would be my hero too. I mean, as you think, like, that's a lot. A lot of times, if we don't have that, what would you do? How do you show up? And what I love is, she had no choice.
She had no choice.
And I think that's a great thing to talk about. What you were saying is, they didn't have a choice. So what do you do when you don't have a choice?
Absolutely. What do you do? And it's like, for surgery, you do have, I mean, there's some things that are a choice and
Yes.
something that knee replacement is a choice, okay?
Right.
All right? But there are some surgeries that are not a choice, and you have to have it, and you still have to have help.
Right.
So what do you do? And one of the things in looking up, I want to go back to the injury, that in a lifetime, it's just like, it's really crazy. In a lifetime, you can have over 9,000 injuries.
Wow. And we don't think about that. You know, you think in a lifetime, you think, oh, this or that, but that's a lot.
That is a lot, but I mean, I have taken and been cooking, and all of a sudden, I sliced my finger, okay?
Yeah.
In cutting. You don't think about that as being an injury.
Right.
But you can have an injury, okay? And when I was looking up doing this show, I was really surprised to find out in the United States alone, over 8 million people have injuries every year. You were one of those people.
I definitely was one of those people, and I actually re-injured myself. So what's crazy about this injury is 2 years ago, I did the same type of injury on a trampoline and doing exercise and wanting to do. So with the years, so 2 years ago, the same time, same type of injury, and how to deal with it differently. But sometimes, is what you're saying, we can injure ourselves and not know.
Not know. Or it can be something minor.
Like a, like you said, like a paper cut.
Oh, like a paper cut. I mean, and those things hurt.
Yes, and they happen a lot.
And they happen a lot. Or they're minor things that happen that we don't think about. But some injuries, just like surgeries, can put you in bed.
Definitely, and put you out of what you're used to, or someone who, you know, like Janice and I, we get along so well of this because we're so active and we're in the community, and you know, we serve, and so it's hard because when we're in this injury and someone's telling you have to sit in bed, you have to do these things, it's our mind, our body, you know, our mind knows we can do it, but we have to take that time out. And
because like me, I'm going, oh my God, I can't get down on the floor. I can't get down on the floor. I'm not doing my abdominal exercises, okay?
Or walking around like yesterday, like walking around too. Or you know, tell the story about that.
So I was telling Elana I was supposed to meet some people for lunch in a shopping center that I'm not familiar with. And my GPS took me to the wrong part of the mall. And this is a huge mall. Huge, okay? And I was like, it was almost a mile away from where we're supposed to be, where the GPS took me. So I figured out quickly that I was in the wrong spot, but I already did some walking. And then, okay, now I got to figure out where to go. I put the GPS back in. It sends me back to the same spot. And I went, no, this isn't going to work. So I finally went out of the mall and went into a different area looking for a department store that the people I called up and I said, I can't find you guys. And I don't walk well, right? And so they told me, okay, we're next to Bloomingdale's. And I go, okay, I'll find you, okay. So where's Bloomingdale's? I know where Bloomingdale's is from within the mall because I have shopped over there, okay. But to find it parking-wise and find the exact restaurant, oh my. So I got in the car and I get to valet parking and I went, because I'm an exercise person, I would never think of using valet parking.
No, because you're so used to it.
I'm going to use valet parking.
Which I'm proud because you listened to yourself and knew what you needed to do.
And so I get into the mall, and I wasn't even close to where we're supposed to be. I had to go up the escalator, and then I had to go walking down. But when you have a discomfort,
yes.
that's the best way I can call it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're limping along, and it's getting worse. And everything else was going wrong. It's like, oh my God. So I finally found out what I wanted to do. Had my lunch with the group of people. It was actually a business lunch, okay? Which I showed up 35 minutes late for.
But you showed up?
But I showed up, okay? And then it was getting myself back to where I was supposed to be.
Right.
And by the time I got into the car, I was like, oh my goodness. And I was so happy.
Yeah.
I left the guy a great tip. But you need to pay attention to what your body is telling you.
Right.
And
the challenges. Like, what was the challenge in that for you that you were used to and taking for granted? Oh, I normally could have done this.
Right. And because I am considering myself, and I say this all the time, a spoiled woman, okay? Since I've had the surgery between my husband and other friends and my assistant that I work with, okay? I'm totally spoiled. I'm not used to driving myself. If my husband's not doing it and Lauren's not doing it, I have another friend that comes in there. So I'm going, yesterday, I'm going to drive this on my own, okay? It was major.
But you did it, and I think the challenges, and you didn't give up. So I think that's something that's good, between, it doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter what, you're going through, the fact you showed up for yourself. Because in a challenge, sometimes we don't know how to show up for ourselves. And then we could just laugh at the situation, too, to make light of it.
But I made a major mistake, and this is where my major mistake is, because one of the people I was with said, Janice, let me take you back to your car. And me being, I'm going to be the proud person, I'm going to handle this on myself, said, no. I'm going, what a mistake that was.
So that's good, and we can acknowledge that, and I think to show that it's okay to accept that, and and think like, okay, I'm gonna let my, I do it too, our ego get out of the way, like, oh, I've exercised, oh, I can walk, I can do it, but we know we can do it when we're healthy, and so, and I think our minds, not necessarily like without our challenge of having.
But also, it's a pride thing too.
Correct.
I didn't want to admit to somebody that I'm doing business with, okay, I can't do this, okay?
So maybe as a lesson, or to do, if it happened again, where would you go different to show someone
I would have said, okay, let's figure out how to get back to my car.
And I think accepting and having more grace for us, because I think I do this too. I'm like, Matt is like, you should be able to do this. You're an exercise person, like, and I think we put that pressure on ourselves because we want to show up, and I think this is what is the good thing is us being on this together is that we're authentic. We can say we did this different, and that's okay. We made a mistake. We showed up differently.
I learned from that mistake.
Yes.
I learned from that mistake because I should have accepted the help. And we're going to talk about more about accepting it, but this was a good portion to go back to. We definitely should have accepted the help. And you were talking about people earlier trying to help you out.
And I think too, so what I've noticed is, I'm the type of person, and I think raised to manners and just how growing up, but holding open a door for someone, or doing nice things and not doing them just because someone has a boot on or something. It's funny how many people want to help me with I'm wearing a boot or when I'm out, but when I'm not, how many doors will slam, how people will be rude or not acknowledge. And to me, sometimes it's funny. It's like, do I have to show how hurt I am that I can't verbalize, or people just can't be nice in general?
Well, people don't know. I mean, we're living in a different era.
Correct.
From when I was growing up, okay, I was told that I'm gonna go back to something basic. When I was dating, my parents said no honking and going out. They are to come to the door, okay? And I told my sons that too. No, you're not honking or expect some girl to come to your car. I expect you to go to the door and do the right thing of meeting the parents.
Right. And that's what my parents always said too, or like, yeah, guys are not going to come and,
Right.
you know, or they need to come and introduce. Something funny about that is when my parents started to date, my dad didn't open the car door one time or did something, and my mom stood there and waited till he opened up, and for that. So it's funny with different generations.
Different generations and how it's done. Now I said, I'm a spoiled woman.
Yeah.
I will go out with other couples, and my husband always opens up the door for me, and I'll go other couples. You never see them open up the door.
Yeah, I feel very blessed with my Tony. He's so good about opening the door. Also, even walking, he's kind of old-fashioned when we're walking.
Yeah,
he'll have me walk on the inside of the street to make sure to protect. I mean,
those are hard to find nowadays.
They really are. We're lucky that we got some true gentlemen out there.
Yeah. So did Tony help you when you were with your injury?
So with my injury, he was helpful too, because he's been injured. So he knows. He did sports. He like so many things. So. And showing up for your partner. So sometimes I think with this, we need to say where we're at. Hey, today I got 20%, where are you at? And them showing up too and being able. So I've been blessed with a really great support system too, from my parents to Tony to, other friends who will, even in LA, will drive so far to show up for you, which means so much, because I think sometimes it's very hard with that to ask for help.
Yeah, and I've had where people make accommodations for me, so it's been real. I mean, it's been very nice, but it's like I don't want them to have to make accommodations for me.
Right.
It's really hard because I want to do it, because like you were saying, I've always been physically and mentally, I've been independent.
Yes, and that's what I love about you, is that your independence in it, you have always done it on your own, and I think that's hard. And for me too, it's like, show up. I teach my classes, I want to show up, how we show up for ourselves of things. So, but I think learning that grace of how to show up and how to ask for what we want.
But that asking for help will help you during your recuperation period.
Yes.
Okay? So what happens, you've got to go to the doctor, you have to drive to go to physical therapy. So somebody helping you out and driving, not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. And you know what? It is nice to be chauffeured around sometimes, because, I think also you and I, the way we would do this for anybody too. So I think where all of this is the way we show up for others, we would do the same thing. And so that sometimes that guilt of like, we don't want to ask, we don't want to do, because you don't want to put someone out, but you would do that for someone else, and you would show up for them the way it works both ways.
Right, absolutely. And people, if they offer, but also offering is one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, asking for help is another thing. And I was reading something earlier, and it was saying, there's two words that you can say, and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're at work, or it's an injury or a surgery that we're talking about, you just say to somebody, I'm struggling, can you help me? And if you just say those two words, I'm struggling, people usually feel
that empathetic.
Like empathetic, that's the correct word for it. They're going to help you.
Right, and I think that exactly, it's the wording, and it's how you show up for someone too. It's like, and not to compare, or, I think we have to be sensitive to someone's needs, because we all heal differently and we all communicate. It's how you communicate. It's, someone says like, oh, well, I had knee surgery and it's like, no.
Oh my God, I have a great story for that.
Oh,
okay. All right. So everybody comes, you go out, you finally go out, and people come up to you, or you're talking to people, and this is always people that are not in physical good condition, okay?
Are the ones
and
that
they will
always
say,
the story.
well, I recuperated from that in 3 weeks. How come you're still having a problem? And I'm going, my head is going, you didn't recuperate from that in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Okay. But each person is different.
Yes.
This is each person is unique. That's a word I want to use.
I love that you use that word, because we all are unique.
And what my health conditions are not the same.
Right.
Okay?
And you can't just judge, like, people look at, oh, you're healthy, or this or that. People, it's like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right. And it was just like, Elena's father had the same surgery
Yeah.
I had, and he went off to Europe. And I'm going, how'd he do that?
Right.
Then I saw him the other day, and I'm going, wait a second, you're not that far ahead of me.
Right.
But his health conditions are not the same as my health
Right.
conditions. So it's just,
And
don't
acknowledging
judge.
that. Yes,
and
don't
acknowledge.
judge.
Because people will say, well, you're in good shape, you work out. Why is you having a problem when I'm not in good shape?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going on about my business, and I'm going, what am I thinking? Well, you were in such pain before, you didn't realize how this is better than what you were. But for me,
that's where you're
there's
at.
different issues. That's
Yes.
where I'm at.
And I think accepting someone where they're at, because too, people look at me, you're young, you're going to recover, you're work out this, and it's like, no, maybe ask how my well-being is. How's your mental state?
How's your
People don't even realize like that. I think with this, to be honest, my mental state has been really messed with because you're stuck sometimes, and I felt like I want to serve, I want to give back, but when you're stuck in there, you start to go down that rabbit hole sometimes.
Well, it is.
know?
It is. How's it going to affect you?
Yes.
I mean, how am I going to get to places now? Because I'm in the Medicare
Yes.
world, okay, and I don't work
And
for
reach out to
Medicare, and I don't work for Social Security, okay.
She does not.
I sort of say that, but because I represent private insurance companies,
Right.
it's I went from having my surgery, having to prepare. So I'm going. Either I'm going to get out of the mental state that says I can't do this or I hurt too much, and just say I'm going to have to do this,
Right.
okay?
Because
I
now you
have to prepare,
Right.
okay? I didn't go to live training like
Yeah.
I should, that it's really important to go to, but I still prepared myself.
Right, and I think that's a good thing is preparing ourselves, because sometimes we don't know how to, but if we prepare them mentally, it could help us out a little bit more that we know how to react in a situation.
Right.
I mean, respond instead of reacting, because, we have so much going on.
Well, I changed how I normally did things,
yeah.
okay? And I normally don't have people come into my home, but this year I had people come into my home because I just couldn't do the traveling. Okay, towards the end,
Yeah.
I did do more traveling, okay? But I actually had people come to my home. And it was like, okay, I know this isn't what I want,
Yeah.
but there's no way I'm going to get through it and meet my client's needs.
Exactly, and I love that because here it is. You didn't make it necessarily about you, like a poor me, like I'm stuck here. You found a solution to the problem. You wanted to show up because you're showing up for your clients.
Right.
Because they needed you, even though you were dealing with something. So I think that's really a beautiful thing, and that's how with my clients, even though I'm hurting you, you're still there to show up for them.
Right.
As well. Right. Well, we have so much more to talk about. We're going to go ahead and take a break right now and get our sponsors. We are with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast. #1 internet talk show. I'm Elana Feldman with your Health Vibes and Janice Wood. We'll be back soon.
At Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services, we believe knowledge is power when it comes to selecting the correct healthcare and Medicare insurance. Please contact us at healthcareoptions@benefitsforyou2.com or call us at 310-245-0332.
Welcome back. I'm Elana with your Health Vibes with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast. I'm back here with Janice, and we're going to continue talking about accepting and asking for help after an injury or surgery. Welcome back.
Hi,
Hi.
it's exciting to be back.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
We're going to continue talking about, asking for help, accepting help when it's being given to you. So, ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Recap, we talked about both Elana. I had surgery. Elana had an injury. She injured herself. Yep.
Actually working out on a hike.
On a hike. Oh, God,
Yes.
imagine. You had to have help getting out of that hike, didn't you?
Yeah, and so that was like, so it was one of those, I rolled my ankle. I had a wedding that night. We still had 2 miles left to go, and that's when the adrenaline, I kind of felt like, if anybody knows the old school movie of True Beverly Hills, when Velda gets lost in the wilderness and she hurts her ankle and she screams, and, that's kind of what I saw, but I had to focus back and say what's going on. I had to reach, I pretty much popped up and just went on it, even though I probably was the worst thing and I probably injured myself more. But I was grateful that I did have support of my sister, and Tony was there, and they were willing to even like pretty much carry what they could and support in that. But from then on, it was learning that night to ask for help, to share that I wasn't okay. I did need that extra support, and you really knew I was injured because I was not dancing. When this girl does not dance, you are in pain.
Definitely, yes.
So is there any instance too of also with this, I think asking for help, being gracious and being thankful, because sometimes I think we assume like, well, I'm hurt, so someone's going to show up, or these things that are going on. But I think when people are taking the time to reach out, want to help, accepting the help, appreciating it.
Oh, yes.
And being gracious about
it. A simple thank you, because most of the time, the average person, is not going to expect you to do it back for them.
Right.
Because you don't know what circumstances are constantly changing in
Mm-hmm.
people's lives, okay? I had an instance just recently, I'll talk about it, okay, where my son lives in another country, and he came back in for one of the holidays, and I could tell something was wrong, okay? And so he finally came out and he said, my father's really ill, and because you guys are sick, because we've had that horrible COVID going around, okay, he can't be exposed to it. But once we got, once he came, we were over the COVID, but not far enough out of it for his father to be exposed. So I offered to send him over a plate for the holiday that we were celebrating.
Which is the nicest thing out of kindness of her heart.
And what I got back was, I have food in my house. I don't need your food. And it was like, excuse me? I mean, I was insulted because I wasn't saying I was going grocery shopping for you, which I can ask for. You should, if you need help with that. But not in this instance. That's not what I was implying, okay?
Not at all. And if you know you, like, that was like such a beautiful gesture, showing up for someone because you knew you put yourself in someone else's shoes. And that's what I love about you, is that you wanted someone to know, like, I'm here to help. It sucks where you're at, and I want to show up, and to have that type of response back, I would feel the same exact way.
And so I was insulted. So when you say to somebody who's offering to help you and you don't need it, you can say, thank you very much, but at this time I don't need it, but I'm going to remember that you offered, and I may need it later on.
Right.
Or something like that, because I really appreciate that you would do this, okay?
Right.
And, I mean, people have the right. You can ask them for help, okay?
Yeah.
And they can say, I can't do it for you at this time, but I can do it for you at another time.
And to show, like, not to take that personally. Be proud of yourself that you asked for the help, and it's not a rejection. Because sometimes I think when we are vulnerable, we have to show up and we ask for help, and then someone can't help at that exact moment or time needed. We take it personally, and then we don't continue to ask, oh no, like, am I a burden? Is this? And we need to realize they didn't ask if they didn't want to. So, and it was just unfortunate at the time. So again ask and show up.
Or maybe at the time for them, because you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life at the same time. Okay. So you can say something, because I had to ask a friend to drive me to the doctor because neither Lauren, who I was talking about earlier, or my husband Leon was available to take me to the doctor. So I called up another friend, and they were really nice to say, well, whatever I'm doing, I will reschedule it, okay, to get you there.
Which is so beautiful to have that community to show up.
So that's really good. But people are there for you, okay? But you have to know how to, one, ask, and two, you need to know how to accept.
Right, and I think that's something that we should kind of brief on a little bit more, is actually accepting it, and not being in our ego and in our,
and our pride.
And in our pride as well, because we want to show up. We have that pride of, I can do this. Like, it's such a simple task, but it's one of those simple tasks that it's okay to say, hey, I just need that extra help. Hey, can you show up for me here? And when someone does, be gracious and accept it.
And that's so important. Okay. I know once this is all over with, probably at the beginning of the calendar year, I'm probably going to take everybody out.
Yeah, definitely.
To say, hey, I want to thank all you guys for all the extra stuff, okay?
Right.
That you've done for me during this period of time, because I really appreciate it. Yeah.
And I think, exactly. Just showing someone the appreciation, because we take things for granted, or, as what we said is sometimes we don't realize to say thank you or in a certain way of what it is. Now, with all this for you, what made you want to, when you had to ask for help, or do you have any stories of any other stories of where you didn't want to, but you did, and because you did, it changed the whole situation?
Well, I think I'm going to go to a little different angle with it. I've become, I love the extra help.
Yeah.
Okay? I've learned I don't mind being pampered.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing to be pampered at the right point in time, okay? But it's like, for me, it's gaining back my own control of my life, okay? Because I have a husband that would control my whole life if he could.
Yeah.
That's just his personality. It's good that he's done all this stuff for me. But I remember sitting on the couch the other night, because he would bring me my dinner. And, he didn't come bring me my dinner. And I was thinking, he's not bringing my dinner. And then I'm going, well, Janice, get up, and get off your butt. And get your own dinner. And 2 seconds later, there was my dinner. I mean, because you could take advantage of it, too.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say, too, is like sometimes we become comfortable with the help that
we're receiving. And I'm becoming very comfortable with it, okay? And it's like, wait a second, get up. I'll get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I have one medication that I have to take on an empty stomach. There he is at the side of the bed with my medication. It is like, wait a second. I need to get up out of this bed.
Right. And I think finding our independence again and knowing, like, we can come back to ourselves. I think, coming back to ourselves of knowing, like, okay, I can get up, I can do all this, and you're grateful for the help. So when do you stop that help? Or when do you tell someone, like, when is it enough? Sometimes?
Well, that's for me, it's like, he loves doing it, so I'm like, how long am I going to milk this situation, right? I mean, it's like crazy, because I wear hearing aids, okay? So, and I'm really bad about putting them on. I forget to put them on. I get sidetracked into something else, okay? So this is how, my husband goes, oh, Janice, you got to put your hearing aids on. And then Lauren turns around and goes, I already handed them to her. No. Am I not spoiled? Yes, I am. Am I thankful for it? That's the key.
Yeah, see, I think the difference is sometimes when people get this, it changes who they are and their character, and then they expect that even after that.
Right.
But the thing about this is not your character. Like, I think since you help so many people, this is a sign for the universe that it's your turn to get that help and accept it, and be able to do that too.
Yeah. So it's really funny. So it's like, so there's this point where I'm going to have to say very nicely, I think it's time for me to do it on my own. So like when I talked about earlier in the show, I talked about walking through. Okay. Normally, either Lauren or Leon are gonna take me. Yesterday, I'm going to drive myself.
You did.
Okay. And then I got myself in a thing. I think that's really funny. Last week I said, okay, I'm going to drive myself, okay? And I'm going to go meet a friend for lunch, okay? I had to call up and say, I don't know how I got in this parking space, but you got to come get me out of it. And he goes, are you kidding me? And I'm going, but he thought I was joking. And I'm going, I'm not joking. I don't know how to get out of this parking space. This is the first time I've driven this car in 5 months, and how I got in it without the car screaming at me is beyond me. Oh, okay.
But you did, and I think it's challenging ourselves to do things that we're not used to and being uncomfortable.
So he comes over and goes, "How did you get in there?" And I'm going, "I don't know." I absolutely don't know.
Yeah.
Took him a while to get out of the space, because I know I'm sitting there with my friend getting the food, and he's out there running around with 2 cars. But so when do you need to ask for it?
Yeah.
It's going to take time to break away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree, because, and then too, we're not used to asking for help because, you know, with that. So finding that thin line of when to still ask, when to still accept it, when to pull back.
Right, and when to pull back. And so when do you do that? And I'm going, I want to be independent again, okay?
Right. Because I think too, when we feel that independence, it's that control. We don't want to be controlled by this or that or the situation or having what's going on define who we are.
Absolutely, and I've used that. I use those words to the doctor. I said, I'm not letting my health issues define me.
Because so many times we do, and then it's okay to have a poor me moment here and there. Don't get me wrong. But when we do that, sometimes it changes the healing process as well. Because you don't want to be known as Janice with the knee problem, and this is who, you know, Elana with her thing, and she's hurt, and it's like, no, that's not who I am. I'm Elana. I'm going through this, and I will recover, and I will heal. And I think what you said, how to say it. What were the 3 words, or asking?
I'm struggling. There's 2 words. I'm struggling. And that can work in any situation, okay?
Yeah, I think that's something to kind of talk about, a brief of using words and the way you communicate.
Right. And so if you're telling somebody you need help, you can use the word I'm struggling, which sounds a little bit better than I need help.
Right, because then it doesn't make you feel, I think it makes people feel like they're weak, or, you know, they can't do it, or, you know, once again, that's these stories that we play, that we go down that rabbit hole. But if what you said, it's hearing it differently.
Hearing it differently. And that way somebody is going, well, you need help, okay? But if I'm saying I'm struggling, it has a little bit different meaning.
Right, a little bit more compassion, a little bit more empathy, where people can really connect. I hear struggle opposed to help. It's like...
So you can be... Let's say you're at work and you have a project, and all of a sudden that project becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
So you go to your supervisor and you say, I'm struggling, versus help.
Yeah, and you hear it differently. When I hear help, it's kind of more like this panic, like help me, like more, where do we go? But when you hear I'm struggling, you're like, okay, how can I show up for them? They need help in a different... Hearing help is different.
Hearing help is different than the word struggling. And that's the same thing in our life. Maybe you have a emotional issue that you're going through, okay? And in that emotional issue, maybe you need some help.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you use the word I'm struggling, it doesn't say the same thing.
Right. Exactly. And it's all how we communicate, how you want to show up, what words, you know, someone will resonate with as well.
Right.
And what I think, too, what I like, maybe we could, just one thing, too, to brief on, is your authenticity. You know, what we show up on camera, people are going to get behind closed doors. I think sometimes in the media with these shows and everything, I'm so fine, I'm so great, look at me. And then you talk to them behind the closed, my knee hurts, I'm bad, my surgery went terrible. I think we need to be real and authentic so that others can relate, and that they aren't here to judge, and we're not comparing Sally did this and then Janice did this and Elana did that. To play the compare game is going to ruin everything.
Right. But going back to injuries and surgeries, now we have to have food when we're here. And modern technology, I think, is fantastic, okay?
Yes.
Because I learned that I could go to the grocery store. Okay, my husband went away for a couple of days, and I had to go grocery shopping, and that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But I learned that I could order food and pick it up.
And you know, there's so many ways. Like now, we are blessed, because think 20, 30 years. You know, back in the day, what did they do?
What did they do?
And so you're so right. Like, there's other ways around it that you can learn to do. You can learn how to have something picked up for you. You can order it offline.
Or what if you feel funny having somebody go grocery shopping for you? If I order it online, maybe they can go pick it up for me, where they don't have to go into the grocery store, and I'm getting exactly what
you
want. Okay, so there's different things. Now, in the as a Medicare insurance broker, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, if you just came home from surgery, okay, or maybe you injured yourself and were in the hospital for a couple of days, or you were in a rehab center and you're coming home. I know it's disorienting when you first come home, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? You know, what's the next step? What medications am I supposed to take? Where am I going? You have to look at what your insurances may have available for you that will help you in those situations.
Right, and because I also work with Senior Fitness, that helps with that too, because they can, I think so many times we don't realize what our insurance offers. You can get food, you can get exercise, you can get that extra help, but we don't look into it enough. So I think that's a really great thing to say.
So that's a really good thing. So like if you're coming home from the hospital and you can't do it, prepare a list of things for whoever you're living with or somebody coming into the house to help you, and saying, if you call the insurance company when I get home, okay, help me set this up. Do I need physical therapy when I get home?
Right.
Am I need to go to the doctor's office after I get home?
Do you need a friendly visitor and someone come check on you and call you and make sure that you are okay and you don't need anything?
It takes a little bit of planning, which we all don't want to do.
Right. And what you said, planning, because we all can plan without it being overwhelming. Because as we said though, sometimes we can plan what we have to have for surgeries and sometimes we can't. But when we can, being prepared.
Right. It's just being prepared. That simple little thing, being prepared. I know and I can tell you from experience, I know when I came home, I was disoriented. Now, of course, I have Leon, the controller, okay, that came in and took over. And of course, I have Lauren. But there were some things that I had to figure out how to do for myself. But if I would have prepared a little bit better, of course, it's a lesson learned, okay? Some of this would have been taken care of, okay?
So, and then the difference for me, so mine, I couldn't prepare. So so the difference of us, I wasn't prepared. I was at a wedding, and then 2 days later, I had a conference that I had to go speak at in front of 100 people, and so my mentality got really thrown off.
Oh my goodness.
And disoriented because it wasn't prepared. So then I spiraled down.
But she was struggling at that time, and I keep flashing. Your ankle hurting you within 3-inch heel stiletto shoes on.
And speaking of that, so I did not wear that day. I ended up wearing a little like flip flop in my UGG. You know, I did not wear the heels as much as I wanted to look cute. I said that's going to ruin it even more. So that's the one thing I did listen to. I said I want to look cute, but I'm okay. Just don't put my foot in the pictures.
Because I know I miss my high heels so much. So funny. And my husband will say, Leon will say to me, just get over it.
Right, same with Tony. He'd be like, get over it. Like,
get over it. Just get over yourself. Yeah.
But sometimes I think with the male and female differently.
But what we're trying to really say, the focus of this is remember to thank whoever offers to help. Remember to thank whoever you ask to help.
Right.
Just be gracious, and I like the word gracious. Is so important, okay? And I think that's great.
Yeah, and just because in the long run, we all want to help each other, and that's what it boils down to. I think we never want to be a burden. We don't want to do this, but showing up for ourselves and showing up for others and appreciating is the best thing that we can do. Appreciating.
And instead of having a reaction that says, well, why are you asking me this because you're hurting my pride?
Right.
That's how it comes out. Just say, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That's all that's necessary.
Yeah, because then the next time someone's not going to want to help and someone's not going to do because then they're going to take it personally.
You don't know when you're going to need help.
Exactly. You never know when you're going to go on that hike again.
Yeah, you don't know. So thank you very much for watching us today.
Yes, it's just been so fun. We could talk for another 2 hours,
Yeah,
but we'll be back for another show for you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm Elana with WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio TV. With your health vibes, you can reach me at ef11ca@gmail.com. Also 562-235-8410. And where can you reach you, Janice, at?
Well, you can reach me at Janice at benefitsforyou2insuranceservices.com, or you can call me at 310-245-0332.